All righty, well, welcome everybody to the NILE Stock Show and Ranch Rodeo. We're going to start this off today. Let's do a little national anthem. If you would, remove cover. We got a flag right behind us. You know the deal.
What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And against red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, I'll tell you what, I like that song. That's a good song. Let's kick off a little prayer. Talk to the big man upstairs here real quick. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many opportunities you give us. Thank you for the nice rain last night. Thank you for us being able to come here and do what we love and show animals and pass on this heritage. Please be with every animal, every contestant today. Please watch over them, keep them safe, and please help us have a good day. And in your name we pray, amen. All righty, without further ado, we are going to kick off that subclass. We're going to have, it's going to be Class 1, late spring heifer calves. We've got Caden Cumpula out of Shepherd, Montana. Keston Cahoon out of Charlotte, Montana. Caden is showing Barbie, and Keston showing Kest Corey Dio 238N. Also, I want to introduce our judge today. We've got Colton Prescott out of Winchester, Indiana. Colton is a first-generation cattleman who is a co-owner of Prescott Cattle Company in Winchester, Indiana. Prescott Cattle Company primarily raises Maine Anjou, Chianina, and Shorthorn cattle. Every fall, they have multiple breed sales where they sell cattle online or privately. They also participate in different breed sales held throughout the country, selling seed stock, animals, and genetics. Colton is a graduate of Purdue University, where he was a member of the livestock judging team. After graduation, he was the show barn manager at Schaefer Show Cattle. After gaining those experiences in the business, Colton was inspired to formally pursue the start of Prescott Cattle Company with his family. Colton, Hunter, and their father, Steve, started their own operation 10 years ago and pride themselves on customer service and educating youth on the beef industry. Colton is currently an agricultural science teacher at Winchester Community High School, where he has been teaching for the past 10 years. Colton has been a member of the American Chiani Association Board of Directors for the past 4 years, where he has held offices as vice president as well as secretary. Join me in welcoming Colton. Thanks for being here. Also, just so everybody knows, you can watch live from home at ringsidelive.co. Again, if you have a loved one at home that can't make it, this is all going to be streaming live from home at ringsidelive.co.
As we start off our first class at junior AOB females, these are two very, very high quality individuals, both kind of differ in their type and kind. I choose to lean towards the black heifer as she's the most feminine up through her front 1/3. She balances very well. She's very feminine in terms of her build. She's practical and balances very well. Has a smooth, adequate underline and top line, and has plenty of natural muscle shape. If I'm going to change that heifer at all, I think I'd like to square up in her front knee just a little bit, but I think that's a high quality heifer to start. The heifer that comes in next, the butterscotch heifer, I think that's one that's extremely stout, opened up in her skeleton, a ton of underline. She's probably a little bit quicker in terms of her overall design, and I'd like to lift her and elevate her up through the top side of her shoulder to her pole. But that's a very nice, high quality female, especially for that type and kind. I think she'll be a very nice heifer for that young man later on down the road.
Well, congratulations. Your champion of that class is going to be Caden Cumpolo with Barbie. And your reserve champ is going to be Keston Cahoon with Kesty Corey Dio. We're going to roll right into class number 2. This is going to be an early spring heifer calves, March through April 30th. First, we've got Bailey Kraft out of Powell, Wyoming. She's going to be showing Laney. Alexis Strack out of Fort Benton, Montana. She's going to be showing Penny. And we've got Vivian Burns out of Cascade, Montana, showing Molly. Alrighty, here's class 2. Class 3, if you guys would be ready, that would be much appreciated. That'll be Rowdy Berry, Rocky Ridge Cattle Co., Hadley Cooper, Radley Berry. If you guys would be having it on your mind, we'll be coming to you guys shortly. Also, we'd like to thank Next Level Images from Mount Pleasant, Texas, for being here with us today. They're going to be our exclusive photographers for the 2025 NILE Stock Show. All champion and reserve breed champions are required to have their backdrop photos taken. Everyone is welcome and encouraged to have their photos taken at the backdrop. All photos, ring, and backdrop will be available to view in the northeast corner of the Expo Center. Please let them know if you have anything specific while they're here throughout the week. And as a reminder, please no photography at the backdrop or ringside. Thank you. Also, champion reminders. All Grand and Reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the Expo to pick up your champion jackets and vest. And special thanks to our good friend Scott down at Dalio Western Wear for embroidering these awards for us.
As we get into this second class of AOB heifers, again, they're heifers that all have they're a little different in their type and kind, and you just kind of have to go through and prioritize where you want to lay. But I chose to start with the black and white heifer. She's the stoutest, boldest, probably most balanced heifer in the class. She just puts a lot of different things together. A few things that I would like to change about her: I'd like to smoothen her up in terms of her shoulder, lay her back in her front end a little bit, and maybe set her down in her tail head, but that's a high-quality female. The heifer that we start next is more the breeding female of the three. I think she's high-quality, high-balance, broody, practical type of female. She's one that you just like to kind of loosen her up in her spine, lay her back in her tail head, and maybe lay her back and change her hock design just a little bit as she just gets a little sharper whenever she gets on the move. That's a high-quality, broody type of female. The red heifer that we start with next, a very long neck, tidy fronted type of heifer, has a lot of muscle density and natural rib shape, but she's one that we just want to free her up off both ends of her skeleton, loosen her up in her spine, and lay her down in her tail head. Thank you. Bye.
Man, talk about some high-quality beef right there. Third is going to go to Alexis Strack out of Fort Benton. Second will be Vivian Burns out of Cascade, Montana. And first place will go to Bailey Kraft out of Powell, Wyoming. Congratulations. Good work out there. Let's move right into class number 3. This is going to be the winter heifer calves, January 1st through February 28th. First out, we've got Rowdy Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. That's a mouthful. He's going to be showing Berry's next level. And then we got Rocky Ridge Cattle Company out of Casper, Wyoming. They're going to be showing 29. Hadley Cooper out of Powell, Wyoming is going to be showing VCC Sasha. Radley Berry again out of Port Orchard, Washington is going to be showing Barry's Neon Moon. That's what we got to look forward to there. And then we will roll right into class number 4, and that will be Barry Radley again out of Port Orchard, Washington. So if you'll have someone getting that animal ready, that would be much appreciated. Also, in case you guys missed it earlier, if you've got loved ones at home, grandparents, people that couldn't be here, you can watch this live from home at ringsidelive.co. Again, you can watch it live from home at ringsidelive.co.
As we get into this class of AOB females, I chose to start with the heifer that I think is the combination female that brings on femininity as well as stoutness and mass. She's good in terms of her build and structure. When you get off from the side of her, she balances very well, and she comes out of her neck and shoulder with a lot of femininity and ties in through her chin and chest very well. When you get this heifer in the move, she's flexible and easy on the go. She's big-footed, big bone, just a nice quality female to start the class. The next heifer we start, another female that follows the same pattern as the heifer that starts the class. Probably just a little more opened up in terms of her shoulder. Brings a lot of mass and natural width and dimension. But whenever you just get her on the move, you'd like to free her up just a little bit out of her front end and just, I guess, smooth up her transitions as you're really studying her and getting behind and seeing how it all ties together. The heifer that comes next and third, I think a big outline stout female, probably the stoutest female in the class. Very bold in terms of her rib shape, flexible when she gets on the move. She kind of hinges a little bit in her shoulder and gets higher in her tail head a little bit. And when you study her through her head and neck and chest, you just like to sharpen that up just a little bit to move her up any farther in the class. The heifer that rounds off the class is a very high-quality functional female that's smooth in terms of her muscle shape and smooth in terms of her transitions. Whenever you just get this heifer in the move, you'd like to lay her back in her shoulder from her point, or from the point of her shoulder to her knee. You'd like to just loosen that up and free her and maybe just give her a little bit more natural mass and power in terms of her skeletal work.
All righty, I mean to tell you, what a good-looking set of heifer calves right there. Here's how that shook out. Bradley Berry with Barry's Neon Moon is going to take fourth. Third is going to be Rowdy Berry with Barry's Next Level. Second's going to be Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. with 29. And the winner of that class will be Hadley Cooper with VCC Sasha. We're going to bring back first and second of each one, and we're going to figure out who's going to be the champion and reserve champion right here. Also, just a reminder, we are going to roll right into Class 4, so if Radley Berry would be ready with Berry's Magnolia, we will be coming to you after this.
As we get back out here for the champion calf division of the AOB junior show, I chose, as we go through these things, I think you see there's a lot of quality. They balance well. They're stout. They have breeding cattle look. There's some heifers that are a little more of a combination females. I think there's just a lot of quality out here. So for me personally, I think there's a couple of them that just kind of hit me, that kind of fit my type and kind and kind of my preference. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to select those two females. Please give these kids a round of applause.
All righty, well, congratulations on a tough class right there. Your champion junior heifer calf will be Barbie, shown by Caden Kumpula out of Shepherd, Montana. And your reserve champion junior heifer calf will be VCC Sasha, shown by Hadley Cooper out of Powell, Wyoming. Congratulations, guys. Good job. This is going to be class number 4. This is a late senior heifer calves. And we've got Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. He's going to be showing Berry's Magnolia. Appreciate you making the trip over here, Cowboy. Class number 5, you guys will be on deck. That will be Landon Daniels out of Garland, Utah. You guys will be on deck, so if you would have it on your mind, we would greatly appreciate it.
As we get into our fall-born class in the AOB show, this is a very nice female. It's practical, smooth in her basic build. She's straight line and good looking whenever you get behind her. When you get behind her, she's square in terms of her muscle shape. She's bold in terms of her rib. She's just got a lot of very good functional, practical type cattle look and build to her. If I was going to change this heifer anyway, I'd just like free her up and make her a little easier, more athletic moving out of her front end, but a very nice female for this young man.
Nicely done for Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. Berry's Magnolia, he's going to win that class. Good job there, Cowboy. This is going to be class number 5, early senior heifer calves. They're going to be born August 1st through October 31st. This is going to be Landon Daniels out of Garland, Utah. He's going to be showing Darla right here.
As we get into this October female class, I think this is a high-quality female that's got a lot of natural spread up high. She's got a lot of natural rib shape. She's big-footed, big bone, and has just that really nice brood cow look. As you kind of study this heifer, you'd like to pick her up in her chest, maybe extend her up through her front 1/3 and widen her out in terms of her pin set. You maybe like to square her up on her hock when she gets on the move. Very nice, high-quality female for this young man.
You betcha, nicely done. Landon Daniels out of Garland, Utah. He's going to win that class. We will bring back Radley Berry and Landon Daniels, and we'll figure out who's going to be the champion senior heifer calf and who's going to be the reserve champion senior heifer calf. Class number 6, you guys will be on deck. That'll be Allie Sorensen, Rowdy Berry. You guys be having it on your mind, please.
as we get these two females out here for the fall born division. I think two very high quality individuals. In my personal opinion, I think there's one that just kind of balances better. She sorts up and is just a little more complete in her type and kind. Both of them are very high quality females. I'm going to go out here and pick your champion and reserve, and we'll keep moving on. Thank you.
Well, nicely done, gentlemen. On a good set of heifers right there. Your champion senior heifer cap is going to go to Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. We appreciate you making the trip. He's going to be showing Barry's Magnolia. That is your champion senior heifer cap. Your reserve champion senior heifer cap goes to Landon Daniels out of Garland, Utah, showing Darla. Good work, gentlemen. Now we're going to move right into class number 6. That's going to be the summer yearling heifers. That's May 1st through July 31st of 2024. First, we're going to have Allie Sorensen coming out of Spanish Fork, Utah. She's going to be showing NSUL Jump Off Faith 66M right there. Bet you can't fit all that on a ear tag. Next, we're going to have Rowdy Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. He's going to be showing Barry's Mustang Sally. In class number 7, you guys will then become on deck. That'll be Grady O'Connor, Arley, Montana, Melody Starman out of Carter, Montana, and Caden Schertz. If you guys want to have it on your mind, we'll be coming to you in the following class. Alrighty, and then also Riker Schertz with 528. If you want to come, this is your last call.
as we get back out here in our summer AOB division, I think this is a very, very high quality set of 2 females. I think you just kind of have to sort out and do some nitpicky things to really evaluate them. And I guess this is just how I see them. If you're a person that thinks differently or you think they could be swapped, that's totally fine. This is just kind of how I see them. The heifer that I start off with is a young lady in a pink shirt. Whenever you evaluate this heifer, she's so stout, opened up in the top side of her skeleton. She brings it from top to bottom. Whenever you look at the 2 and really analyze their condition, I would say she's probably the wins in terms of being fresher of the 2. When you get her in motion, I think she's the freer, easier moving one, especially out of her front end structure. I think both of them have very good silhouettes. I think both of them balance very well. But I think that the heifer that starts the class is just probably a little more genuine in terms of her width and basic build. Now, the young man's heifer that comes in second, I think, is, again, an extremely high-quality female. She's super attractive up front. She bounces awesome from the side. She's got a lot of just good things going for her. But one thing I'd like to do, I'd just like to freshen her up a little bit and change her in the way her front end structure lays in there. She gets a little more upright in terms of her knee, and that kind of, it hinders the way she moves and flexes whenever she gets on the move, but a very high-quality female.
You talk about quality cattle right there. Nicely done, guys. Your champion in that class is going to be Allie Sorensen, coming to us out of Spanish Fork, Utah, showing NSUL Jump of Faith 66M. Nice job. Second in that class is going to be Rowdy Perry out of Port Orchard, Washington. He's going to be showing Barry's Mustang Sally. We're going to roll right into Class 7. That's going to be the Spring Yearling Heifers, born March 1st through April 30th, 2024. First, we've got Grady O'Connor coming out of Arlee, Montana. He's going to be showing Panda. Then we got Melody Starman out of Carter, Montana. She's going to be showing Maggie May 402. And Caden Schertz out of Riri, Idaho. They're going to be she's going to be showing Memphis for us right here. Then we've got Bristol Burnside out of Rathdrum, Idaho, showing Danny. Courtney Merriman out of Malta, Montana. She's going to be showing Delta. Maddie Flowers out of Shepherd, Montana is going to be showing Dee Dee. And Maya Van Dyke out of Albany, Oregon will be showing Coco. Peyton Parks out of Anaconda, Montana. She's going to be showing Cork. My name is 402M. And then we got Sydney Frank out of Joliet, Montana. She's going to be showing Gretchen. And Brindley Dewey out of Otto, Wyoming is going to be showing DC Shania. If we could have Maddie Flowers head over to the gate, please. Maddie Flowers out of Shepherd, Montana. It's not too far of a drive, so Maddie Flowers, if you could come over to the gate, we are looking for you. Well, we would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. If you look around the arena, there is a pile of sponsors right here, and it wouldn't be possible without them. We do want to thank C&B Operations. They've got you covered with all your John Deere needs, whether that's agricultural, construction, all the way down to a zero-turn lawnmower or a gator. They got you covered. Go see those guys. They'll get you fixed up just right. Also, we want to thank Rand's Custom Hats. Whether you're looking for a new one to look sharp or you want to get the old one dusted off, reshaped, they will have you covered either way. They're just right down the road. Appreciate their sponsorship as well. Intermountain Heating and Air Conditioning. I tell you what, when it's hot, you need them. When it's cold, you need them. You can't live without them. If you guys want to get a hold of those guys, they're 406-449-4567 for all your heating and cooling needs. Also, shout out to Axiota Animal Health. We appreciate your guys' sponsorship. Humana as well. Thank you guys. We also want to thank our friends down at Montana Lottery. Every year, the Montana Lottery provides $2.25 million in scholarships for Montana students pursuing a STEM degree. Your ticket purchase helps fund these scholarships. They want to thank you for playing, and we want to thank them for their sponsorship. Couldn't do it without them. We also want to thank our good friends at Select Sires, offering an expanded sire lineup that includes more elite bulls from respected programs. Select Sires, calving ease, carcass cows. Stop by and see Jay Nansel at their booth in the trade show, or visit your local Select Sire rep. Also want to thank our good friends at Pine Coulee Bulls. Those bulls are bred and tested for convenience, efficiency, and profit traits. Pine Coulee Bulls sale will be in March at the Wagon Box Ranch in Hardin, Montana. They're going to be selling over 150 yearling bulls. Thanks to Jim Stample and John Carroll. We appreciate your sponsorship. Also, Western Ranch Supply. They're serving the Big Sky Country with quality and service you can trust. Stop in their West End store, just located right off the Shiloh Road exit. A complete farm and ranch store from vet supplies to show supplies or fencing and livestock equipment, saddles and tack, and a large clothing department. Thanks to Rob Erickson, Keith Robinson, and Shane Vandevort. They have stores in Billings and Great Falls, and they also have a store over there for anything you might run into last minute as far as show supplies. They got you covered. Also, we do have a full trade show as well. Got a lot of great sponsors are here, and a lot of great new products, supplies, everything. I encourage everybody to swing through and visit with these guys. They got a lot of great products, a lot of cutting edge technology out there. If you've got any questions for them, it'd be a great time to swing by and visit with them. We also want to thank our good friends at World West. They're located right at Joliet, Montana. They got a state-of-the-art facility. It's a custom bull collective service with experience many have come to trust. So we want to thank Scott and Andrea Spickard for their support. Go check those guys out. We've also got our good friends down at Stock Show Secrets. They want to wish every exhibitor the best of luck, and Stock Show Secret brand supplements have innovated the livestock show industry. Like their competitors, Stock Show Secrets offers performance-based products to make your animal do and look better. But Stock Show Secrets also offer products for a safer show experience, a more rewarding show experience. They believe that no matter how good an animal is, it won't place very well if it cannot get shown well. That is what makes Stock Show Secrets different. Check them out online on Facebook or Instagram at stockshowsecrets.com. We also want to thank our friends down at Bravera Bank for their sponsorship. Tell you what, you can't own cattle without a good banker. I know that. We want to thank them for getting on board with us. Also, we want to thank KR Roush and Wilson Trailers. Wilson is the manufacturer of quality livestock, grain, flatbeds, and drop decks, self-unloading belt conveyor, and gooseneck livestock trailers. KR Roush Company determined 47 years ago that the Wilson trailer brand was the best quality and had better performance, durability, and value than any other brand trailer they had seen through their repair facility, proudly sponsoring the NILE Top Herdsman Trailer Award. Thank you guys for getting on board and making this possible. Also want to thank our good friends down at Transova. Transova Genetics is the industry leader in advanced reproductive technologies, including embryo transfer, in vitro fertilization, sex-sorted semen, as well as genetic preservation and cloning services. With more than 36 years of experience, Transova Genetics is the best partner to equip you with the tools you need to achieve your breeding goals. We also want to thank our friends down at Origin, breeder-to-breeder genetics services, the first and largest genetics company founded and operated by beef cattlemen for beef cattlemen. One stop for customer semen collection, sex sorting of semen, and sales of semen, featuring the #1 Angus sire of progeny registered for the past 3 consecutive years and 4 out of the past 5. Thank you, Origin, for your sponsorship.
As we get into this class of AOB females, I think there's just so many different types and kinds. There's some different conditions. There's some different ways you really have to look at it. I chose to go with the female that I think she excels in this whole class in terms of basic build and structure. I think whenever she gets out and goes, she's the most athletic. She's probably as fresh and lean as anything in the class. She bounces up really well from the side. She's fresh and comes out high at the top side of her shoulder. When you get behind her, I think she's got plenty. I think she's got enough. I think that's one. You take her out, you go. She could probably use a little more on her if we're really being serious in terms of her condition. But I think she's one that just wins on basic build and completeness. I think you have to go with that. The silver heifer that comes out next, another high-quality female that I think is very good in her basic build. She gets a little crestier on the top side of her neck. She's good in terms of muscle. She's big-legged. She's feminine. I think that's a high-quality female as well. The heifer that comes in third, I think a very, very high-quality female. I love her balance from the side. I love her look. But when you really get looking at this female, she's probably just past 12 o'clock. She's storing it up in the front of her shoulder. In terms of her crest, it's starting to push out her front end a little bit. I think that's a very high-quality, stout female that's presented very well. I just think she needs to be a little fresher today to move up any farther in the class. The baldy heifer that comes next, another one that's very long neck, has a very good silhouette. But whenever you really study this heifer, she just gets pretty narrow up front in terms of her chest. She gets a little narrower into her pin. And you'd like to just clean her up and free her up in terms of her hip and hind leg. Now the White Park female that comes next, I think is really good in terms of her basic build. I think she's got some genuine looks, some balance. You'd like to maybe have her come up a little higher out of the top side of her shoulder and add a little length into her poll, but I think that's a high-quality female. The heifer that comes next, big, stout, rugged type female that has a lot of genuine width and power. She's one that just you'd like to tidy her up in terms of her head and neck and her chest, and just free her up and square up in terms of her hooks and pins. Now the heifer that comes next, a highly presented female that's stout, rugged, will be the kind that I think will definitely raise some nice high quality market animals. She's just another one that you'd just like to free up a little bit, tidy her up in terms of her condition, to move her up any farther in the class. The heifer that comes next, another big outline, bull rib type female, but she's one of those that you really would like to add a little bit more to her underline, and probably change her how she hinges out of her hip to move her up any farther today. We round off the class with the red heifer that's super feminine out through her front end, is bull ribbed and has some really good practical cow look and build. There needs to be more of her, and she's just needs more time compared to some of these other females.
All righty, I mean to tell you some quality right there. Here's how the top four placed right there. Fourth place is going to go to Bristol Burnside out of Rathdrum, Idaho. She was showing Danny. Third's going to go to Caden Schur out of Riri, Idaho, showing Memphis. Second will be Maya Van Dyke showing Coco. And your champion will be Peyton Parks out of Anaconda, Montana, showing Cork. My name is 402M. Now we're going to bring back the top two of every class, and we're going to figure out who your champion junior yearling heifer is and who your reserve champ is. Also, thanks to HB Feeds out of Roundup, Montana, for getting on board and sponsoring. Appreciate your guys' sponsorship. Don't be afraid to look those guys up. HB Feeds, Roundup, Montana. Special thanks to Biozyme and VitaFirm for getting on board with the NILE Stock Show. Make sure to provide the best quality vitamin and mineral supplement for your herd with the VitaFirm line, powered by Amifirm, a prebiotic proven to increase intake, digestion, and absorption. VitaFirm is a proud sponsor of this year's NILE. We also want to thank Hubbard Feeds. Hubbard Feeds has a long history of providing research-based nutrition products and innovative support services. They have 22 feed manufacturing locations across the United States that provide dealers and customers a wide variety of products. At Hubbard, they are driven to provide their customers with products and answers that will improve their profitability, increase their competitive advantage, and reduce their risk and simplify their lives.
as we get back out here in our drive, I'm really, really happy with the quality and what we have out here. I try to keep in mind a lot of basic fundamentals and priorities that I was brought up with, and I think these cattle definitely represent that. I think as we get these cattle back both out here, I think you have to appreciate them for their basic build, and there's some differences in their type and kind, and you really have to think, okay, which one's ready today? Which one kind of ties it all together? I think there's two cattle out here that sort themselves, and I really like their basic build. I like what they bring to their table. They're a little different in terms of their build and type and kind, but I think you really have to appreciate them for their quality and what they are. So I'm going to go out here. I'm going to pick your champion in reserve. Can we please give these exhibitors a round of applause?
Well, here's how that shook out. Your reserve champion junior yearling heifer is going to be Peyton Parks out of Anaconda, Montana, showing Cork. My name is 402M. And your champion junior yearling heifer is going to go to Allie Sorensen out of Spanish Fork, Utah, showing NSUL Jump of Faith 66M. Congratulations, guys, on a tough class right there and a really good set of cattle. Without further ado, we're going to roll right into class number 8. This is going to be the junior yearling heifers. They were born January 1st through February 29th. And that first class will be Jocelyn England out of Lolo, Montana. She's going to be showing Delta Dawn. Then class number 9 will be the senior yearling heifers. If you guys want to, you guys will be on deck. That'll be Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington, and Weston Harrison out of Basin, Wyoming. You guys will be on deck. We appreciate you guys being ready. Also, we want to thank our friends down at Tri-State Livestock News. Tri-State Livestock News is the leading livestock publication in the upper Midwest. With over 60 years strong, published every Saturday, Tri-State Livestock News provides timely agribusiness news, rodeo updates, livestock market reports, and community event coverage in a 9-state region. Visit us online at tsln.com. Again, tsln.com. Also, we want to thank our good friends down at Northern Ag Network, KGHL. NILE Livestock Show is brought to you by the flagship station of the Northern Ag Network, home of award-winning broadcasting like Taylor Brown, Coulter Brown, Andy Schwab, and Colton Young. The AM 790 KGHL and 94.7 FM.
As we get into the single entry class, I think a female that's bold in her design, has a lot of natural shape and power. She's big-footed, she's big-legged, she's smooth. She's one that I would like to just smoothen her up in terms of her shoulder design, maybe pick her up in terms of her chest and smoothing her up out of her tailhead, but a high quality female for this young lady.
Congratulations to Joss in England out of Lolo, Montana, bringing us Delta Dawn. Good-looking heifer right there. She's going to win that class right there. Let's go to class number 9. It's going to be the senior yearling heifers. They're going to be born October 1st through December 1st. We've got Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. He's going to be showing Berry's Lioness. And then we got Weston Harrison out of Basin, Wyoming, and he's going to be showing Copenhagen. Kind of see where you get that name right there, Copenhagen. Hardy, also, we are going to give you guys a first call. We need all of our champion divisions. If you guys want to start lining up over by the gate, if you're in the running for that, we will be coming to that next.
As we get into our senior yearling division, I think a logical place to start is this young man's black heifer. She's fresh, bold, and has a lot of good cow power behind her. She's one that you get behind her. She's got a lot of natural width. She's good in terms of her udder development. The young gentleman told me she's going to calve in about a month. I think she's appropriate for a senior yearling in terms of her condition and her overall freshness. I think that's just a logical place to start. The young man's yellow heifer that starts next is the one that's big-legged, stout, and has a lot of natural, genuine width and power when you get on top of her. She's one that just needs to have a little more in terms of her underline. She needs to be squared up in her hip, and she needs to be farther along in calf to be competitive in this division. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Pretty good-looking set of beef right there. Second is going to go to Weston Harrison out of Basin, Wyoming, and your champion of that division will be Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. We are going to get ready for the champion. Figure out who's the champion and all that. So if you guys are in the running for that, please do go ahead and head into the arena.
as we get these cattle back out here. You have to really appreciate their type and kind and the quality of these heifers and females. But I think there's one in particular just kind of rises to the top. She combines a lot of good things, and she's ready today. This young man in the cowboy hat, you'll be champion. Young lady in the red shirt will be reserve. Please give these kids a round of applause.
Well, congratulations on a very tough class. A lot of good quality right there. Your reserve grand champion senior yearling heifer will go to Jocelyn England out of Lolo, Montana with Delta Dawn. Congratulations, young lady. And your champion senior yearling heifer will go to Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. He's showing Barry's Lioness, and that's a good one right there. Congratulations, guys. He's going to have to get an extra trailer just to take with him back to Washington for all those awards. Alrighty, now we're going to figure out who's going to be our grand champion heifer and our reserve grand champion heifer. So we're going to have Barbie by Caden Cumpula from Shepherd, Montana. Barry's Magnolia by Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. NSUL Jump of Faith by Allie Sorensen, Spanish Forks, Utah. Barry's Lioness by Radley Berry, again out of Washington. We're going to need VCC Sasha by Hadley Cooper out of Powell, Wyoming. We need Darla by Landon Daniels out of Garland, Utah. And Core, My Name is 402M by Peyton Parks out of Anaconda, Montana. And Delta Dawn by Jocelyn England out of Lolo, Montana.
as we get these cattle back out here, I think it's an extremely, extremely impressive set of cattle. I'm really happy with the way it all came out after we got everything back out here. Again, very, very high quality set. I think as you go back through and you look through all of our division winners and reserve division winners, you see a pattern. I think there's cattle that are practical, they're functional, they're good in terms of their basic build. They have some look. They have some unique breeding pieces that I think a guy, if you're taking them home, can go back and make some very, very high quality cattle the next generation. And I think they're cattle that you'll be awfully proud of. So before we go through and pick our champion and reserve, can we please give these exhibitors a round of applause? As we go back through there, I think there's kind of three that are players in this division that I think you really have to sort and kind of figure out where they lay and kind of where you want to prioritize them. I think they're all very, very high quality. I think they're all cattle that I think I would take home. I would definitely take home and make cattle in our operation. So I'm going to go out here. I'm going to pick your champion reserve. Again, let's please give these kids a round of applause.
All righty. Well, congratulations on a great, tough, competitive class right there. Your reserve grand champion heifer is going to go to Barry's Lioness, shown by Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. And your grand champion heifer, congratulations, is going to be NSUL Jump of Faith by Allie Sorensen, coming to us out of Spanish Fork, Utah. Congratulations, guys. Thanks for coming and spending your day with us. Next, we're going to go into Class 11. That's going to be winter bull calves. They're going to be born January 1 to February 28. And we've got Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. He's going to be showing Barry's Nitro.
in our AOB bull show. The numbers might be slight, but I think we have a high quality one to come out here and do it. The January bull calf is one that I think is very good in terms of his balance, his basic build. He's rugged. He's got some natural width and dimension, the top side and bottom side of his skeleton. He gets around the ring with ease and gives you a really nice look from the side. This will be your champion AOB bull. Congratulations, young man.
Well, congratulations, Radley Berry. You win it all with the whale of a bull right there with Berry's Nitro. Coming all the way out of Port Orchard, Washington. I tell you what, I said it a couple classes ago, but he's going to have to get another trailer just to take home all of his prizes. Alrighty, we're going to start this AOB Open Show right here. Class number 1 is going to be late spring heifers, calved May 1st and after. We got Caden Cumpula from Shepherd, Montana, showing Barbie. Got Kesson Cocoon out of Charlotte, Montana. Going to be showing Kess Corey Dio, 238N. And then we've got Vanek Club calves coming to us out of Cilicia, Montana, with Shaisa Lori. I'm going to have to get with Dan later and figure out exactly how to say the first part of that name. Also, we want to introduce our judges back again today. Is John McCurry from Hutchinson, Kansas. He is going to be our open judge. John McCurry owns and manages McCurry Angus Ranch with his wife Melody and 2 daughters, Aubrey and Molly, and son Drew. McCurry Angus Ranch is a purebred Angus and commercial cow-calf operations that's striving to produce bulls for their annual bull sale in March, where they will market 200 Angus bulls through the annual sale and private treaty. John attended Butler Community College and Kansas State University on a livestock judging scholarship and was a member of the Reserve National Champion Senior College team in 2003. John and his family raised and showed the National Junior Angus Show Champion female in 2003, Reserve female in 2004, and the Champion bred and owned bull in 2005. John served on the National Junior Angus Board from 2001 to 2003. John is a true believer in junior livestock associations and accredits it for much of his success in his own life. John is very proud that his family was awarded the 2015 Beef Improvement Federation Seed Stock Producer of the Year, 2016 Champion Angus Heifer Pen Show at the National Western Stock Show, and 2017 Reserve Champion Angus Heifer Pen Show at the National Western Stock Show. A very proud highlight recently is being named the 2023 American Angus Association Young Breeder of the Year. John has judged shows of all levels, including multiple breeds of national junior shows, American Royal, Nail in Louisville, Fort Worth, and San Antonio. John's love in life is to evaluate cattle and help encourage the next generation of ag enthusiasts to get involved and pursue their desire to carry the ag industry forward. Help me in welcoming John McCurry.
Thank you, sir. We'll get this Open AOB kicked off, and I think you got a lot of challenge and differences between these two, and I think I'll try to describe them to the best of my ability. The yellow heifer here is just unparalleled in terms of just body mass and rib shape and design, just beautiful in terms of her muscle structure on there. A female gets around the ring good enough. Me personally, I'd love to make her more ladylike and elite and elegant through that front 1/3, but we're out here in an AOB show, maybe gets a little bit of a hall pass. I love the black heifer from, say, the point of her stifle up and forward. I love her feature and her ladylike and femininity through that front 1/3 and the shape and design of her neck. She comes to us so fresh. I think she's going to be have a little more longevity in terms of her spine. I think she's looser and more relaxed from that standpoint. Where I would like to reconstruct that one is off of her hind leg. As she gets and goes away from you, gets a little wide, gets a little tight in terms of her hock and down to her pastern. If I can reconstruct that one's hind leg, that probably doesn't make this pair close. With that, we're going to opt to use the added dimension and substance of the yellow heifer. Congratulations to both those exhibitors.
All righty, well, here's how that class shook out. Second's going to go to Caden Cumpula with Barbie, and your winner is going to be Keston Cahoon with Kest Corey Dio 238N from Charlotte, Montana. Congratulations, you guys did a nice job there. We're going to go to Class 2, early spring heifer calves, calved between March 1st. This is going to be Bailey Kraft from Powell, Wyoming, showing Laney. Alexis Strack out of Fort Benton, Montana, is going to be showing Penny. Owen Peer out of Arlee, Montana, is going to be showing 3-R, Little Comet Storm. And Stuart Kincaid out of Sheridan, Wyoming, is going to be showing KCC Kate 2.0. And then we got Vanek Club Calves out of Cilicia, Montana, with Shisa's Gypsy. Once again, we just want to thank all these good arena sponsors here. It wouldn't be possible without them. I want to thank HB Feeds out of Roundup, Montana. I want to thank Coors Light. Pretty hard to go wrong with that. We want to thank Western Ranch Supply, Stockman Bank. Tell you what, you can't be in the cattle industry without a good bank. Pine Coulee Bull Sales. They got a bull sale down in Hardin, Montana every March. Go ahead and check those guys out. Agribest Feeds, Transova Genetics, Hemptana, Stock Show Secrets.
We're going to leave these three here as they stand over here on the profile. The heifer that the young lady has that's going to win this class, undoubtedly the most powerfully constructed from the top of the shoulder and back. She just explodes into the most center ribbed shape and dimension. She's the most powerful out of her upper hip. And of the three, I think she's probably the most flexible in terms of her movement. Not perfect in terms of her structure by any means, but I think the most acceptable. The blue roan heifer, just stunning here from the phenotypic standpoint. So elegant and fresh and up-headed from her top of her neck, shoulder forward. female we'd like to reconstruct and design out of her hip and off of her hind leg. I still think she's square from hooks to pins and got a little more attractive set and relaxation to her pastern compared to the female in 3, but we'd like to make her looser and more laid back in her angles off either end. The snip-nosed heifer here in 3 probably matches the body type and kind of our class winner. I like her in terms of her length and extension up through that front 1/3 and the design of her mid-rib section. From her point of her hooks back, I'd like to pick her pins up, make her more attractive in the set and travel off of her hind leg from her hock down into her ground there at her rear pastern, but she still has far more substance and dimension than the 2 heifers that remain. From there, you opt to use the more maternal-looking individual in this black baldy or the black white-legged heifer here. Quite a bit flatter in terms of her rib shape and muscularity design, but a female that just more has more longevity in terms of her structure. She's more correct in the angles. She has more true body shape and design. The red heifer that concludes has really neat pieces in terms of her length and extension up front. She's got some good muscle shape down her top and out of her spine. She's just too concave in terms of her heart and her flank. We'd like to soften that one up and make her looser in terms of her skeleton as well. Congratulations on a nice set of heifer calves.
All righty, I tell you what, those are a good-looking set of calves right here. Here's how that shook out. 5th place is going to be Alexic Strack out of Fort Benton, Montana, showing Penny. 4th is going to be Owen Peer out of Arlee, Montana, with 3R, Little Comet Storm. 3rd is going to be Vanek Club Calves out of Cilicia, Montana, with Shiza Gypsy. 2nd is going to be Stuart Kincaid out of Sheridan, Wyoming, with KCC Kate 2.0. And your champion of that class is going to be Bailey Craft out of Powell, Wyoming, showing Laney. Next, we're going to roll into class number 3. That's going to be winter heifer calves, calved between January 1st and February 28th. So if we could get Rowdy Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington, he's going to be showing Berry's next level. Then we're going to have Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. out of Casper, Wyoming. He's going to be showing number 29. Then we got Tricia Wilfong out of Monmouth, Oregon. Going to be showing TCW Ruby's Hallie IMET. Then we got Shay Townsley out of Thermopolis, Wyoming, showing Susie. Hadley Cooper out of Powell, Wyoming. He's going to be bringing VCC Sasha. And then we got Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. He's going to be showing Berry's Neon Moon.
we're going to leave these three. We're going to pull the young man up here in the brown hat to be our class winner. I think for me as a cattleman that's the first female that you need to tie into in this particular drive. She's no doubt in my mind the most female and ladylike from her shoulders forward. Just beautiful in the set and carriage of her neck, her face and her head right there. No, she doesn't have near as much substance and muscle as the females in 2 and 3. But where I think she gets the distinct advantage is just in terms of mobility. She's the most coordinated in the set and travel off of her hind leg. I think that is a really fresh individual. We've got to appreciate her for added length and extension and skeletal design. No doubt just unmatched in terms of power and dimension, muscle, boldness of turn of a rib shape and design. The young man's got here in 2, and it starts right up front. She just comes at you wider, more pulled apart throughout. Where I would like to reconstruct that one is just kind of right there at the point of her hock down to the ground. I'm not calling it anything in terms of a critical issue. It's just not nearly as pleasing to the eye to look at from this standpoint. But that female has so much to offer in terms of just substance, mass, and dimension and true muscle, but yet still does it in a ladylike package. I like the heifer here in 3. Again, one of those from her hooks forward. I love her in terms of her front end quality, her rib shape and design. Would like to just reconstruct that one from hooks to pins and off of her rear too. Not only does she want to get a little bit up underneath herself there in terms of her hock design, gets a little bit rigid in terms of her pastern that meets the surface. From here, I think we have 3 heifers that don't look nearly as ladylike in my mind. This one's a little bit more terminal about her face and her design of her neck. It kind of goes with her type and body. She's a little coarser and more opened up throughout. Would like to reconstruct that one off of her rear too as well. The next heifer coming in line, I think where I see her is like from the point of her loin. She wants to really get down in that, gets her tail head up in the air, gets her hind leg up underneath herself. We'd like to reconstruct her from there. The most elevated heifer in the class is going to conclude. I appreciate the added performance and extension that this heifer has. We just got to have more substance and dimension, 3-dimensional shape, not only from rib shape and design back into her flank, but muscularity from front to end to go with that. Congratulations.
Man, I tell you what, you talk about quality right there. We have some right there. So 6 is going to be Shay Townsley out of Thermopolis, Wyoming. 5th is going to be Hadley Cooper out of Powell, Wyoming. 4th is going to go to Rocky Ridge Cattle Co. out of Casper, Wyoming. 3rd is going to be Tricia Wilfong out of Monmouth, Oregon. And your 2nd place is going to go to Rowdy Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington, showing Berry's next level. And the winner of this class will be Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington, with Berry's Neon Moon. Congratulations, guys. Now we're going to circle back and figure out who's going to be the champion junior heifer calf and the reserve champion junior heifer calf. So if you're qualified for that, we'd love to see you down at the gate, and we're going to kick this deal off. Once again, I encourage everybody, if you're got some downtime in between shows, to check out our trade show. We've got a full line of trade show. A lot of good booths there, a lot of great products, very knowledgeable people. If you got questions, go visit with them. They'd love to have you stop by and show you everything they have to offer. Also, we do have a great display of food trucks as well outside. We got coffee right behind here as well. Pretty good coffee, if I do say so myself. So we've got lots to offer here at the NILE Stock Show and Ranch Rodeo. We also do have a trade show below the Metro as well, so don't be afraid to check them out either.
really high quality lineup here in this heifer calf, junior heifer calf division. The yellow heifer that come out of the class, first class of the day, they're just unparalleled in terms of just body shape, design, and dimension. Love that muscle mass that she has distributed over her skeleton. Maybe not quite as extended and ladylike in terms of her feature through her front 1/3, but got worlds of breeding pieces there. Maybe as more of a steer mama down the road. The young ladies heifer out of 2, again, is parked right here, gives you just a killer look. Really up-headed and attractive, really stout in terms of her feature down her top side of her skeleton. One of those maybe we'd like to reconstruct just a nickel at the ground as she goes off either end, but that's being critical of a good one. The heifer that come out of class 3 to me is just more of a lady, and in terms of her kind, really extended in terms of her front 1/3. Love that head character about her, the fact she's really fresh, and some might call her not heavy enough boned, and I get really picky on that. Bone doesn't do anything for me. I think it's more of a feature to just be flexible and pliable, and I think she's the soundest individual that we have in this particular lineup. She's going to be your champion. We're going to keep those 2 together. I think they have the best breeding pieces for me to offer.
Alrighty, it's going to be the Berry boys. They are going to be your reserve champion junior heifer. It's going to be Rowdy Berry with Berry's Next Level. And your grand champion junior heifer calf will be, again, Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington with Berry's Neon Moon. Congratulations, guys. Excellent set of heifer calves right there. Next, we're going to move into class number 4. It's going to be late senior heifer calves, calved between November 1st and December 31st. And that's going to be Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. No stranger to the show ring. He's going to be showing Berry's Magnolia. And class number 5, early senior heifer calves. You guys will be on deck. That'll be Landon Daniels out of Garland, Utah. We're going to be coming to you following this next class. So you'll be on deck. If you would, please do be ready.
Really high quality entry the young man's brought to us. Again, one of those I just love in terms of the shape and design of her neck right in there behind her ears. Just so feminine and ladylike from that regard. Super fresh in terms of her condition for a senior heifer calf. Really on point in terms of where she's going to be. Love her in terms of her hip design and the look and the set and travel off of her hind leg. Really high quality entry. Congratulations, young man.
Congratulations, Radley Berry out of the Port Orchard, Washington with Berry's Magnolia. Quite a little cattleman right there. You will win that class. We're going to go to class 5. This is going to be the early senior heifer calves. They're going to be calved between August 1st and October 3rd. We've got Landon Daniels coming to us out of Garland, Utah. He's going to be bringing us Darla. Class number 6. You guys will be on deck. Allie Sorensen and Rowdy Berry. And Shay Townsley. We're going to be coming to you guys next. You'll be on deck. Please do have it on your mind, if you would, please.
As this young man's heifer comes around, I think, again, another one of those. I don't mind her in terms of her front end look right there. Really explosive in terms of her rib shape and design. Really full in terms of her forerib and heart. Again, one of those that I would make to like to lengthen and strengthen up from hooks to pins and give her a little bit more coordinated set and travel off of her rear hock right there into her pastern down at the ground. But again, one we appreciate in terms of her maternal, productive look and her rib shape and design and her femininity about her front 1/3. Congratulations on his class winner.
Very nicely done. Landon Daniels out of Garland, Utah. He's going to win that class with Darla. If you want to stay in, you're more than welcome to. We're going to go back, figure out who's going to be our champion senior heifer calf and who's going to be the reserve. So if we could have Radley Berry and Landon Daniels come back in. Again, we've got Radley Berry with Berry's Magnolia and Landon Daniels with Darla.
Real nice pair of these senior heifer calves. The young man's ever come out of that first class. I think just from an unparalleled from just a female character about her face and her head. Love the length and extension. Her neck comes higher out of the top side of her shoulder right there. I think she's cleaner, fresher, and just truer in terms of the base of her neck and chest. Female just love her in terms of uniform of her body depth. Really long and square from hooks to pins. The Baldy or the Brockle here, the young man's got. Again, we appreciated her in terms of her rib shape and her design, her added femininity from her hooks forward. I'd like to reconstruct her off of her hip and hind leg. And with that said, we'll use the young man's heifer out of Class 1 in this division to be our champion. The gentleman here, the Brockle, to be second in reserve.
I mean to tell you what a fancy set of heifers right there. Your reserve champion senior heifer is going to go to Landon Daniels out of Garland, Utah with Darla. And your champion senior heifer calf, congratulations, young man, is going to be Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington, showing Berry's Magnolia. Congratulations, guys. We're going to move right into class number 6. There's going to be summer yearling heifers, calved between May 1st and July. We're going to have Allie Sorensen out of Spanish Fork, Utah, showing NSULL Jump of Faith 66M. Kind of a mouthful there. Then it's going to be Rowdy Berry, again out of Port Orchard, Washington, with Berry's Mustang Sally. And then we're going to have Shay Townsley out of Thermopolis, Wyoming, showing Mar-a-Lago. Also, special thanks to Next Level Images from Mount Pleasant, Texas. They're our exclusive photographer for the 2025 NILE Stock Show. All champion and reserve breed champions are required to have their backdrop photos taken, and everyone is welcome and encouraged to have their photos taken at the backdrop. All photos, ring, and backdrop will be available to view in the northeast corner of the Expo Center. Please let them know if there's anything that you need while they're here throughout the week. And as a reminder, please no photography at the backdrop or ringside, please and thank you. Also, a reminder to the champions, grand and reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the expo to pick up your champion jackets and vests. And special thanks to our good friend Scott down at Dalio Western Wear for embroidering these awards. It wouldn't be possible without you.
Really high quality trio of heifers that the kids have brought to us out here today. We're going to use the young lady here in the pink shirt to be our class winner in this one. I think from her shoulders back, she's the most expansive and boldest in terms of her rib shape. I like the fact she's a little stronger, hooked up right in behind her blade, and that's just a matter of fact that she's just got more muscle running down her top and out of her hip. I'll be the first to admit would love to lay her tail head down into her spine just ever so slightly, but I still prefer her in terms of towing a nickel straighter up front, a little more flexibility off of her hind leg and the way she wants to go. Unparalleled in terms of length and extension, and again, a ladylike feature the young man's ever here in two. Maybe just not as pulled apart in terms of her added muscularity down her top and out of her hip. Maybe want to fix her just a nickel out of her front end, but that's being awful nitpicky of a really high quality duo. The red heifer here just got into a buzzsaw of a class, and again, one of those I appreciate for her extension from her shoulders forward, the turn to her rib cage. I just like to make her deeper in terms of her flank and more maternal in terms of her rib shape, give her more coordination, flexibility, and sturdiness right there off of her rear too. Congratulations.
And I tell you what, talk about stiff competition right there. Third in the class is going to be Shay Townsley from Thermopolis, Wyoming with Mar-a-Lago. Second looks like this. It's going to be Rowdy Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington with Berry's Mustang Sally. And congratulations on winning your class. It's going to be Allie Sorensen out of Spanish Fork, Utah with NSULL Jump of Faith 66M. Next, we're going to go to Class 7. These are going to be spring yearling heifers, calved between March 1st and April. Here's how that looks. It's going to be Grady O'Connor out of Arley, Montana, showing Panda. We're going to have Melody Starman out of Carter, Montana, showing Maggie May 402. Then we're going to have Caden Schertz out of Riri, Idaho, with Memphis. And we're going to have the Stardust Ranch out of Rathdrum, Idaho, with Danny. And then we're going to have Maya Van Dyke out of Albany, Oregon, with Coco. We've got Quarter Circle Livestock coming to us from Laramie, Wyoming, with D. We got Peyton Parks out of Anaconda, Montana, with Cork. My name is 402M. And then we got Jesse Dewey out of Otto, Wyoming, with DC Shania. After this class, we will select our champion and reserve following that. And then we're going to move into Class 8. So we'll have Jamie Martin out of Cody, Wyoming, Jocelyn England out of Lolo, Montana, and Jamie Martin again out of Cody, Wyoming. You guys are up in a couple, so please do have that on your mind. Once again, we would like to thank all of our arena sponsors. Wouldn't be possible without them. Our good friends down at C&B Operations. They've got all your John Deere needs, whether that be construction, agricultural, everything down from a gator side-by-side to a lawnmower. They got you covered. Also, Intermountain Heating and Air Conditioning. You can't be hot, you can't be cold. So if that's a concern of yours, go check them out. Rand's Custom Hats. Whether you're looking to buy a new one or get your old one fixed up, either way, they got you covered. They're just right down the road. They'll have you looking sharp for the 2025 NILE Stock Show and Ranch Rodeo. And we got Axiota Animal Health. Couldn't do it without them. Humana, the Montana Lottery, giving out scholarships to Montana kids. We really appreciate that. We got VitaFirm, Coors Light. Can't live without them either. HB Feeds out of Roundup, Montana. And we got Western Ranch Supply. They got a booth here if you got any last-minute purchases to make. We also want to thank our friends down at Pine Coulee Bulls. They got a sale every March and a whale of set of bulls at that. We also got Agribest Feeds, Transova Genetics, Hemptana, Stock Show Secrets, and Stockman Bank. I tell you what, you can't own cows without a good banker.
Lots and lots of diversity in this class, and again, just so many different breed compositions. But just hitting down to the fundamentals of sorting livestock and how we want to build them from the ground up. The young man, you can just pull right there behind her, okay? We're going to use this young lady's heifer, and I'll be the first to admit, would love to freshen her up through her front 1/3 and just give her a little sleeker look from that regard. But those cattle are so hard to build with that much substance and mass from their top of her shoulders to the base of her rib, back into her flank. She's so good in terms of her hip and off of her hind leg. And you just get a step in behind these cattle, and you really don't have to even do that. You can see it from here. That heifer's just so much more pulled apart and dimensional than the young man's heifer that is in 2. I just appreciate all that added mass and substance. No doubt the young man's heifer here in 2 just gives you an incredible look up front. So high in the way her neck ties into the top of her shoulder and her neck carriage and the way she carries her head. Love her in terms of her flexibility and her looseness in terms of her spine. Really square from hooks to pins, really pliable in terms of off of her hind leg, maybe a little longer in terms of her toe. If I'm going to critique her, I just want to see more of her. We can fit her inside that one that wins. I just like to see her more pulled apart right there from her forerib back, give her more true internal dimension and mass. The white heifer, the smoke color heifer has that. It's just she's not nearly as much of her. She's a little bit shorter and more compact in terms of her design. We'd like to lengthen her out to compete with those two. I love that turn to her rib shape. I love that natural dimension of body. She's just significantly more jammed up than those two because she has so many good pieces. But from a comparative standpoint, either heifer's on either side of her, a couple ribs shorter, and we'd like to just make her longer in terms of her kind. Love the length and extension and femininity. Brood cow look that the Baldy has to you. A female that's more elevated, and I'd be the first to admit that. She's going to be a big cow, maybe to the approach into the limits of acceptability, I guess, in my mind. Again, where I want to change her would be just the power, authority off of her hind leg. I'd like to see her leave me with more dimension, internal dimension, give her a little more correctness in the way she wants to set, plant, and drive from her hock down into her ground. But she's so loose in terms of her kind, female that's really going to experience lots of longevity. The Galloway heifer here, the young lady's got, I think, a very good representative for that breed. So feminine in terms of her head. She's deep and soft and uniform in terms of her body type and kind. Really flexible in terms of the way she's designed at the ground. You get her compared to these other breeds that just got more mass and more muscularity. A female that just runs a little shy. But I think one, to regard to her breed and her competitors and contemporaries there, going to be ultra competitive. No doubt the Baldy, the young man's got here just worlds of substance and mass in that heifer from a body and muscularity standpoint. Just comes to us quite a bit plainer from a condition standpoint. Gets a little shorter and more jammed up on either end. We'd like to lengthen her out of her hip and give her a little more correct set and travel off of her hind leg. Admire the freshness, the young lady's heifer that's got coming around. They've done a good job managing her. With that, though, we just fall short from a mass. She just doesn't have the lower third of her body cavity and mass and dimension and just a brood cow look that those heifers above her do. The black and white heifer that rounds out the class, extremely muscular in her shape, down her top and out of her hip. But from just a softness, practicality, functionality standpoint, that and the fact that she's a little more rigid off either end of her skeleton gets her to this end of the class. Congratulations.
Well, I mean to tell you, the quality of cattle that we have here is definitely commendable. Here's what the top 4 in this class look like. 4th is going to be Stardust Ranch out of Rantham, Idaho with Danny. 3rd is going to be Maya Van Dyke out of Albany, Oregon with Coco. 2nd is going to be Peyton Parks out of Anaconda, Montana with Cork. My name is 402M. Congratulations. And the winner of this class will be Cadence Shirts out of Riri, Idaho with Memphis. Again, we are going to come back and crown the champion junior yearling heifer and the reserve champion. So if you fit into that category, just come right back in and we'll get that figured out. Class 8, you will be on deck. That'll be Jamie Martin out of Cody, Jocelyn England out of Lolo, and Jamie Martin again out of Cody. You guys will follow the crowning of
Really impressive 4 heifers that the youth have brought back out here for us to evaluate. The differences still amongst them, but just really set the bar high in terms of quality. The heifer that come out of the first class, the lady in the pink shirt's got here, I think, on the top side of her neck. Love her from the top of her pole down into the top of her blade there. So loose and flexible in the top side of her skeleton. Female, it's square from hooks to pins. Her tail head does want to sit up there. That would be where I would change her today. But she's just unparalleled in just her set and travel off all fours for that matter. Female, it's got an incredibly attractive hind leg and just so much flexibility right there at the ground. That jowl and through the base of her chest doesn't bother me. It kind of gives her a look of a more productive brood cow. The female that's in 2, again, we talked in that last class, just from the top of her shoulder back, just expansive and massive in her rib shape and design, just extremely powerful in her upper hip. Be the first to admit I'd love to reconstruct her, freshen her up. Right there mainly at the top of her crest to just give her a little bit sleeker look. Maybe that would take some off the side of her neck, and I think that one could really run. Female that maybe doesn't get out, maybe that's more or less just a motivation to get out and go, but maybe doesn't give you that look that you maybe can get out and motor like the one out of the first class. 2 great representatives out of our second division here. Females extremely long pattern, really sleek through their front 1/3. Females that are really mobile in terms of their movement. For me today, the young lady here in the pink shirt is going to be your champion. Young lady out of the second class will be your reserve.
Well, congratulations on a class stacked full of talent right there. Reserve champion junior yearling heifer will go to Caden Shirts out of Riri, Idaho, showing Memphis. And congratulations to your grand champion junior yearling heifer. That will be Allie Sorensen out of Spanish Fork, Utah, with NSULL Jump of Faith 66M. Congratulations, guys. Next, we're going to move to Class 8. That'll be junior yearling heifers capped between January 1st and February. We're going to have Jamie Martin out of Cody, Wyoming, showing JM Miss Faith 69M. And Jocelyn England out of Lolo, Montana, is going to bring us Delta Dawn. And then we're going to have Jamie Martin out of Cody again with JM Miss Sapphire 116M.
Three nice heifers to start off this junior yearling division. We're going to use the black heifer here. I think just her lines parallel better in terms of her top line of her skeleton and the uniformity of her body depth both. I think from her shoulders back, she's just more level. She's longer. She's square. From hooks to pins, definitely has the advantage over the 2 white heifers behind her. Maybe doesn't want to sit down with as much comfort right there off her rear too in terms of her pasterns, but a really nice class winner. Of the 2 white heifers, I'm going to use the one that just simply has more to her in terms of the boldness and the capacity of her rib shape, the muscle mass and dimension that she spreads naturally over her skeleton. I think female that just simply has more performance, more substance, more durability. maybe the neatest looking one of the trio was the one that going to conclude this class. Really elegant about her front 1/3. She's probably a little more picked up in terms of her pins, but she just falls short when you get up underneath the underside of this one's skeleton. She's a little too closed up and shallower bodied. To me, congratulations on that trio.
Well, I'll tell you what, another class full of talent right there. Jamie Martin with JM Miss Face 69M. She's going to finish third in the class. Second in the class is going to be Jamie Martin again out of Cody with JM Miss Sapphire 116M. And congratulations, the winner of that class will be Jocelyn England out of Lolo, Montana with Delta Dawn. Next, we're going to roll into class number 9. This will be the senior yearling heifers cab between October 1st and December. We're going to have Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington with Barry's Lioness. And we're going to have Weston Harrison out of Basin, Wyoming with Copenhagen. And following that, we will crown our champion and reserve.
As these two young gentlemen get pulled in right here, nothing better than to me than sorting a senior yearling. And we're all right up here against the stage of production. I think we go from sorting show heifers to sorting cows, and senior yearlings kind of always pull at my heart here just because a good one usually is really, really good. And I always tell kids, a great show heifer might experience 18 months in this particular environment, and we ask them to go to live 10 years as a cow. And this female right here is just the stamp of what, to me, a brood cow should look like. Just incredible about her femininity through her head, the shape and design of her neck, her mobility as she gets around the ring, just unparalleled. Then you get underneath here where the young man says she's about a month from Kevin. The space and the evenness in terms of her teat size and placement there out on the corners, just going to be an incredible breeding piece for that young man. Take nothing away from the yellow heifer because she's bigger top, bigger ended, more powerfully constructed from a muscularity standpoint, but just from a femininity and brood cow functionality, she just doesn't have that sleekness and neatness through that front 1/3. But more concerning in my mind would be just her lower rib shape and design and flank, just not nearly as far along in calf, not nearly as maternal and feminine in her brood shape and her body shape. Congratulations to those two exhibitors.
I'll tell you what, a couple bright cattlemen right there. Second in that class is going to be Weston Harrison out of Basin, Wyoming with Copenhagen. And first, your champion of that class will be Radley Barrett out of Port Orchard, Washington with Barry's Lioness. Next, we're going to roll in and we're going to crown the champion senior yearling heifer and the reserve champion senior yearling heifer. So if you qualified for that, please do go ahead and enter in the sale ring.
Get in here in the selection of your senior champion. Two really nice class winners. two total different molds in terms of their type and kind. The young lady's heifer out of the first class really pulled apart, got some muscularity, big pinned as she leaves you, got some dimension from stifle to stifle. Not nearly as feminine and ladylike about her front 1/3 and the set and travel off of her hind leg. We got the one to come out of this last class in terms of just incredible female character and feature through her front 1/3 that matches her udder development that she has. Love the brood cow capacity and mass she has, her flexibility as she gets around the ring. She'll be our champion. We'll go back up and use the black one out of Class 1 to be your reserve.
All righty, well, congratulations on another tough class there. Your reserve champion senior yearling heifer will go to Jocelyn England out of Lolo, Montana with Delta Dawn. And congratulations to our champion senior yearling heifer. That will be Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington with Berry's Lioness. Congratulations, guys. Next, we're going to roll right into our grand champion heifer and our reserve champion heifer. All righty, here's who we have. Here's who we have coming back in that final drive right here. We got Barry's Neon Moon by Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. We've got Barry's Magnolia by Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. Then we've got NSULL Jump of Faith by Allie Sorensen from Spanish Fork, Utah. Then we've got Barry's Lioness by Radley Berry, again out of Washington. Then we've got Barry's Next Level by Rowdy Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. And then we've got Darla by Landa Daniels out of Garland, Utah. And then we've got Memphis by Kaylin Schertz out of Riri, Idaho. And then we've got Delta Dawn by Jocelyn England out of Lolo, Montana.
really high quality lineup out here that the exhibitors have brought to us. Just asking a few of them kind of as they come around. I'm not so sure that all four of these front division winners aren't lemming influenced females. That breed's making lots of leaps and bounds, and if you've paid attention to some of these sales yesterday, I know there was one that brought 126,000 and one like 86,000 yesterday. So that breed's making lots of improvements, and these females here will help and aid in that. I think all got really good pieces. The young ladies, Reserve Junior Yearling there, a Maine Angus, another one that I think is making incredible improvements and just a great cross. With that said, I think it comes down to a two-horse race, and it's just kind of where you lie your breeding priorities, if you will. And to me, it's always hard to beat just a really good big heifer, and compared to maybe an incredible great calf. But I think the pair of them complement each other well. They're going to both experience success and mating for those kids down the road. It's been a pleasure. Give these kids or exhibitors a round of applause. I'll go show you the two that I like.
I mean to tell you, what a whale of a class right there. Congratulations. Our reserve champion heifer is going to go to NSULL Jump of Faith, and that's shown by Allie Sorensen out of Spanish Fork, Utah. And our grand champion, congratulations, is going to go to Barry's Lioness, shown by Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. Congratulations, guys, on a tough class. We're going to roll right into class number 11. That's going to be the winter bull calf between January 1st and February 28th. This is going to be Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington. He's going to be showing Barry's Nitro. We're going to roll right into Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington, showing Berry's Nitro. This guy's busier than a one-legged guy in a butt-kicking contest right here. They've been showing a lot and doing a darn good job at it as well.
Really high quality bull here to start off our show with. Just worlds of performance and mass and muscle. Again, lots of length and extension. We appreciate them bringing him out here for us to evaluate. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations, Radley Berry. You are going to win this class with Berry's Nitro. Good looking bull calf right there. Next, we're going to go to Class 16. This is going to be the Junior Yearling Bulls, capped between January 1st and February 29th. Next, we're going to go to Bludgeon Galloways out of Roundup, Montana. They're going to be showing HB Moneymaker 254 right here.
Galloway bull here in terms of, we appreciate him for his added moderation, his boldness in terms of his body. Really clean, and his sheath got plenty of muscularity. Maybe you want to clean him up a nickel at the ground in terms of his feet, but that's being awful critical of a really high quality Galloway bull. Congratulations to that young lady.
Well, congratulations to Bludgeon Galloways out of Roundup, Montana. They're going to win this class with HB Moneymaker. Next, we're going to roll in and crown our champion yearling bull.
Not many bulls in this AOB lineup, but just lots of diversity and quality. The young man bull up here for a spring calf, we just really appreciated that in performance and muscularity, length, extension. Bull that maybe has a little more flexibility and pliability in terms of his surface as he gets out and goes. We love the moderation, the boldness and density of the rib shape and design, the muscularity of the Galloway bull. Again, maybe you want to clean him up just a nickel at the ground. But a really high-quality pair today. I'm going to use the added length, extension, and balance of the calf, and we'll use the big bull as reserve. Put your hands together and appreciate these guys for bringing these bulls out.
You betcha. Just a good quality couple bulls right there. Congratulations. Your reserved grand champion bull is going to go to Bludgeon Galloways out of Roundup, Montana with HB Moneymaker 254. And your grand champion bull today will be Radley Berry out of Port Orchard, Washington, showing Berry's Nitro. Congratulations, guys. Also, just a friendly reminder, all grand and reserve champions, please remember to visit the livestock office in the expo to pick up your grand champion jackets and vests. And special thanks to our friend Scott down at Dalio Western Wear for embroidering these jackets. It wouldn't be possible without him.